Alright, here we are. It's the end. We did it. Vampire Academy Book 6. We made it all the way.
Yep.
This is our 6th vampire month.
We did read Last Sacrifice by Richelle Mead, and the series is over.
We did it.
We're free.
We did it. This is the longest we've ever committed to anything.
It really is, and I'm shocked that we are here, and there were no bumps along the road.
Well, there was that one time Vampire Month actually went from, like, February to June.
But it got there. Yeah, I mean, I think, oddly enough, this was the series that I was looking forward to the most.
Okay.
To reading. I think this, I don't know, it was always such like an easy, dependable read every time. And I was like, oh, I can just like ease myself into Vampire Month by reading this book.
This series definitely reminds me of the books that I read when I was like 12 to 13, you know, like the very like, there's one that comes out every single year and it's very formulaic and the characters are very like distinct and like there is a thing and then they do the thing and then the book ends. Like,
yeah.
There's something very comforting about that. Like, literally book 2 was everybody goes on a ski trip. And that was just a wild nostalgia trip for me, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, these are the books that your parents buy for you and then ship you off to camp, you know?
Like have fun, good luck, bye.
Oh, she likes vampires. Okay, here's fucking 5 vampire books. My darling.
The lady at the store said kids like this. But at the same time, it kind of dealt with some more advanced topics at the same time. Like, you have her and her teacher.
Yep, you have depression.
Sex is in there pretty prevalently.
Yeah.
Like, just thoughts. I mean, then of course you have the things that we've kind of moved past, like, she calls everybody a whore.
Yep.
That did not change. And, like, just kind of that kind of judgment. But, like...
very heteronormative.
Yeah. And then you've got the whole, like, one true love, will they, won't they, garbage.
And you know, as you always do, you always end up
with the
first boy. It's to the point now, if we come across a book where the main character ends up with, like, the second romantic interest, we lose our shit. Like, we don't know what to do. We kind of panic a little bit.
This book is fairly straightforward. Rose has been accused of Tatiana's murder, and she's been put in jail for said murder. And then Rose's friends break her out of jail. She's shipped off to the middle of nowhere, where she's supposed to sit quietly and wait for them to clear her name so that she can come back to court, because they were going to probably execute her. And so Rose is not one to sit quietly, so she's like, hey, Lissa has this sibling, and if she gets this sibling, then that means Lissa can have her voice in court, because she's supposedly the last one of her line, so she needs at least one other family member. And so she's like, get this sibling, that'll solve a lot of problems, and Lissa can do a lot of good in this society. The only problem with that is there's like a hidden trail, like a hidden paper trail that they have to kind of follow to figure out who this sibling is. So she has to work with some people she may or may not want to work with. One of them is Victor, who she freed from jail, and his brother, Robert Doru. And he kind of suggests that in order to stall the process, the monarchy succession, deciding who's going to rule society now, she should submit Lissa, because Lissa can go through the process, but she can't actually be nominated for queen. So, you know what? Send her through, it'll cause a lot of chaos, and it'll buy you some time to figure out who the murderer was. And
meanwhile, Lissa and co are at the court, and they're following up on people who had contact with Tatiana and trying to figure out who killed Tatiana, and everyone is super hyper fixated on that Tatiana had more than one lover. So, this is probably a crime of passion. So it's just like, right, the world is romance. That is fuck. So they're trying to figure that out, and like everybody's doing their own thing, and they're going around and they're finding stuff out, and then they realize, no, it's actually not
a crime of passion.
A crime of passion.
Surprise! It was political.
I am like, what the fuck?
And when they finally do figure out who the murderer is, they're like, oh, well, it wasn't the person we thought, but she was involved in giving us false clues. Like we were trying to pin everything on her, but she was only doing some things, and it was actually somebody else. And I was just like, but
okay,
but all right, fine, I guess, but, like, none of the clues really added up to anything. They were just like, oh, yeah, we finally realized it's this person.
Yeah, I'm surprised we did it. So, the more interesting point was the finding the secret sibling, and so we go on this road trip to random, like, nondescript locations in the States because, you know, everybody's trying to hide, so, like, it's not like we're gonna go somewhere big and fancy. And so we end up going to this Morai camp where they're, like, living off the grid in the old-fashioned way. So we have Morai and Dampier and humans all living together and, like, intermarrying. Scandal! Learned more about Sydney's relationship with the alchemists and, like, all the other stuff that the alchemists do. Like, they do bring food to the secret Morai society because they don't really want, you know, how the alchemists see vampires in all forms as, like, evil. So, like, this idea of a group living off the grid and away from humanity, they want to keep them there, man!
Join them! They don't have electricity, it'll be great!
And so then, of course, you have Rose and Dimitri, like, realizing that they're still in love with each other and, you know, going through his baggage, and, like, Dimitri realizing that he does want to live and looking for beauty in life, and that is Rose's heir.
We knew this was going to happen. Like, no one is shocked that they're going to end up together. The only person who's shocked is Adrian, and it's like, honey, you should have known.
Yeah.
Like, you should.
You were the second.
And also, just, like, every time she's like, Adrian Dimitri. She always goes to Dimitri, so it's like, it's not gonna change. But of course, she has to be like, oh yes, finally I'm choosing Dimitri and we can be together. Sorry, Adrian. And you're like, oh, this was the slowest train wreck. 6 books worth, just like, meow.
And Lissa is doing all of the different, like, trials of, like, if she can be a good queen. And they're like, you can survive in the woods by yourself. And I'm like, I mean, useful, but...
Okay.
Okay.
And then, like, solve this riddle.
I'm just gonna say it, I'm a little bit nervous for the Vampire Society monarchy right now because they did just elect a teenage girl who's about to go off to, like, college. Like, the more I think about it, like, fine. Like, Lissa time and time again has shown that she is a, like, responsible lady. But, like, she's going off to college. Do we have a regent situation? Like...
I don't think so. I think they're just like, hey, you can do both, I guess.
As a former college student,
no.
I could barely tie my shoes. I don't think I could run an entire society that's clearly in a state of uproar and, like, not only just run it, but, like, reform everything. Like...
Yeah, that's a little weird. And, of course... no one is shocked that Lissa becomes queen because they do find... Rose finds Lissa's sibling. It is Jill.
Jill.
And...
you know, the one they called jailbait?
They still call it jailbait. Oh my god.
Yikes.
And so it's real... it's like... it's been so long, though, that I barely remember what she did, if she did anything at all. She was just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
And...
she had a crush on Adrian. That was, like, her defining characteristic.
Yeah. She, like, I think maybe wanted to train how to fight, but...
yeah, she was spending a lot of time with Christian, and that was stressing out Lissa, and...
yeah, and it was just... she just kind of was there. That's fine. I mean, somebody had to do it. I wonder how long Richelle Mead was planning this ending?
Yeah.
If Jill was introduced before she knew what was going to happen? Or,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm just curious.
Okay, so some highlights of the book, like plot points that we've just totally breezed over, include we find Sonia Karp and we unstrigoi her, and Dimitri becomes a mother hen and, like, smothers her. We bring Sonia Karp back to her boyfriend and it's all sweet and cute, but it kind of leaves on, like, a... like, okay, well, the reason she made herself into a strigoi was because she was going crazy with the spirit magic, so does that, like...
what's changed?
What's changed? Is that gonna just happen again? Like...
yeah. Rose accidentally kills Victor, which was probably an inevitability. And then the brother...
Robert.
Yeah. That was fine. I mean, he was just kind of doing his evil plots in the corner.
Rose announces to everyone who the murderer is, and I really like Rose's dad.
He was probably one of my favorite characters.
He's just so fucking ridiculous.
It's very dramatic, and...
he's the type of adult I want to be. Like, show up in just wild clothes and just be over dramatic and just, like, command a room and people being like, I think he has ties to the mob. Like, he's so much fun.
Yeah, the whole book could have been about him. I would have been super happy.
So the murderer. Who is the murderer? Chelsey.
Was Christian's aunt What's-Her-Face.
And why did she do it?
Because she was mad about the reforms, and she didn't like Tatiana, and also she was still into Dimitri, so she could just frame Rose, and it would be great.
So, even though it was political, it was still a crime of passion.
I was like, I'm sad, I liked her. I guess kind of the problem with this book was it did wrap up a lot of loose ends. Some of them, he kind of pulled out a couple chords that didn't need to be pulled. I mean, they do end up in that old ways more society, and you're like, oh, this is really interesting, and it's a great foil to the court, and then they're just like, moving on, and you're like, but they're not gonna have any bearing on the plot, and they're like, nope, bye. Obviously, there are some things that she's setting up for her next series, like, there's, like, kind of, like, Sydney gets left in a lurch, and you're just kind of sitting there like, okay, well, clearly her story continues in the next spin-off series.
Yeah, that was the weird thing, because, like, they solve the murder, they have the big thing at, like, the big reveal at the court, and then there's 50 more pages, and I'm just like, what are we doing? And it's just basically, like, Rose, like, in the after, and, like, Lissa's the queen now, and she's with Dimitri, and now she has to talk to Adrian about feelings, and Adrian comes in just, like, dropping all of the truth bombs, being like, you have fucked over so many people, where's Sydney, Rose? Like, you've used all of these people, and I'm like, damn, are we gonna do anything with this? And then the book ends.
Yeah.
And Rose is just like, I'm gonna be with Dimitri forever, and I'm just like, but consequences. Oh, the one thing that I did really like was because Rose, okay, after they announce who the murderer is, Rose is shot. They're going to shoot Lissa. Rose jumps in front of the bullet, takes the bullet, and Rose technically dies. And because she died and then managed to, like, come back because of modern medicine, which I really like, the bond's gone.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know what's going on in Lissa's head. I have no idea. I'm kind of happy and I am kind of pissed. Because on the one hand, it makes it harder to protect her, but on the other hand, I don't have to listen to her screw her boyfriend. So yeah, I thought that was a nice, like, you gain something and lose something ending.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Vampire Academy, we did it. 6 whole books.
6 whole books.
6 whole books.
6 more books.
Will we? Will we not? Will we do something different? Who knows? We have a whole year to find out.
Yeah, so that was our review of Vampire Academy. I hope you liked it, and we hope you watch some other vampire videos.
Content.